in with the plates already?
No, I've got nothing with the plates. I mean, that's just a pull up from just a swing earlier. I mean, look, I would love to have the plate stuff on there as well, but we just play for a few bits. Obviously, we've got the full screen on the slides as well, so we can go through that on the 2 slides that we're doing on the glimpse, and then we just show it. I don't want to spend too much time on that, to be honest. It's just a little glance rather than getting into the nitty gritty. We do those on our demos in person. And Matthew's with me on Wednesday anyway, I think, Matthew. So, okay.
Yep, still coming up.
Perfect. Right, so we will get started then. David, can you see the screen okay?
Yes. I just clicked on something I shouldn't have, so let me come back. Yeah, all right.
Okay, perfect. Right, so from David and myself then, welcome everybody for joining us on this webinar, Mastering the Motion to Coach mobile app. Application actually 2.6, as I was corrected correctly by David, that we are on version 2.6 at the moment. So we are working towards version 3, which we will talk about a little bit later. But the whole point of this webinar really is to help you as coaches understand how the app works. David and I have been using this. Now we're going to be getting everybody admitted every 5 seconds. David, are you good to admit people?
Yeah.
Basically we are here to help you master using the app. We want you to be app users. We want to give you all the hints and tips of what we do on a daily basis. Fortunately, obviously, David and I were in version 1, generation 1, back in December, January time when we launched it. And then version 2, which we're currently on now, came out around April. And then we're working towards version 3, which we've seen some glimpse of the future of what's coming next in the mobile app, which is very exciting. So most of the features, actually, all of the features that we're going to discuss in this particular webinar tonight are actually included in the version 3. And when version 3 comes out, we will add more to this presentation. So everything is current and will be moving forwards as well. So a little bit about me, and then I'll let David introduce himself with his lovely French tone. English PGA professional. Some of you know me. Some of you have met me in person. I specialise mainly in ground reaction forces. That's my kind of forte, coaching speed and optimising power for players with their driver. Very fortunate 3 years ago, got involved with, over a decade of capturing forces with different measuring systems on the market, with systems like BodyTrack and GAS systems. That force plates is one of the 3D technologies that I use in my lessons, and we will talk a little bit more about Fenris and motion to coach force plates a little bit later in this presentation, because we are very excited to announce a few weeks back that our product is now available to buy, our force plate system. So yeah, in the game for 27 years in the game, coaching for around that sort of time as well, and then involved in capturing 3D for 10 years. That's about me. David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, David here, French PGA professional and coach. I've been fortunate enough to discover 3D motion capture back in 2009, I think. So yeah, I've been coaching for like 20 years, and I'm pretty passionate by the kinematics sides of things. So I probably played with every 3D systems on the market. So yeah, I think I know them all. Yeah, it's really kind of a passion for me. I really like to see how the body moves and trying to have a coaching philosophy around that. And yeah, that's basically it. I've been fortunate to meet some great people, and Steve will be one of the first one. And I'm very happy to be part of the Fenris adventure for how long now, Steve? About a year or something?
Yeah, and I'm very likewise with you, David. I'm very fortunate to be part of the team with you involved. You are one of the greatest 3D minds on the planet, in my opinion, and what you've taught me and what you're going to teach us tonight with this stuff is brilliant. With what you do with your stuff in France and all over the world with your online stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Okay, so I will lead then, and David's going to come in on many of the slides as well. So pretty much this is how we see it, 52 steps in to make more money. So we talk about a number of different subjects regarding covering the mobile phone application. The first one is a good setup. The second is how to navigate the app. The third one, David will come in and we'll talk about all of the measured data that we capture in the mobile phone. He will also go into the report and break down the report feature as a coach that you will have. Players, if you're in this, I know that we have got some players, people that are using it as players. Unfortunately, it's not in your program as a player, but you can connect with a coach and be able to access your reports if that's what you would like. We can just send me a direct message or David, and we'll talk you through how you would connect with a coach to be able to get to the report feature. Monetizing an app, this is something that we've added to this presentation now. We want to help you understand how to make money as a coach from the app. So therefore selling your services, there's some good ways of doing that using 3D and a glimpse of the future. So we will look at the app, some of the features, some of the stuff that we've got going on behind the scenes, some things that we measure, we don't show, but just to show the extent and the detail that we do have in the back end system. And also we'll have a little look at the brand new studio system that we've now launched. Okay, so we're going to start with the first slide, which is how to set up the recording. Now, obviously, please excuse me. I know that there's quite a number of people that are sitting this for the second time. Obviously, you guys are going to bypass a lot of this stuff. You're going to go more into the nitty gritty of the new features that you didn't see in our original presentation. But for the vast majority, it's for people that have not seen this before, therefore have used the app, but may not know a lot of these features that we're going to discuss. So the whole point being that you guys, we want you by the end of this to understand exactly every feature inside of the app. So we make a big deal about how you set up your camera, your tripod in your room, in your bay, outside, wherever it may be. So the key to accurate data is having a tripod and a mount. I know coaches that try and hold it. Trust me, unless it is on a mount and a tripod, you could stand in the wrong place. You can angle the camera. Any slight degrees of change of angle between two captures is going to change your data. So get your tripod on the ground, get your mount there, and then you've got it in the same place, and then you can detach your phone and use your phone. And I'll talk you through a little bit of a process of doing that. So the phone or tablet parallel to the target line, you can see there's two views there. There's a face-on view on the right-hand side phone. There's a down-the-line view if you don't have face-on option in your bay, i.e. you're tight for space. So you can see the red lines are sitting in different positions. That horizontal line is either across my toes on the face-on, and the vertical spine line is down the middle of my body. And then we've got the ball in the red box. On the left-hand side is down the line. Again, the horizontal line now is not through my toes, it's through the middle of my stance. The vertical spine line goes basically up through my kind of thoracic region, my mid-spine up through there. I've not actually got the ball box there highlighted over the golf ball, but all you would do to move the ball box, you hold the finger on the screen over the square and you can drag it around the screen. So I quite often just move the ball box to stop it from auto-detecting. So on this particular time, I didn't have it over the ball. So that's how you would align your lines, your horizontal red line and your vertical yellow line. The camera needs to be approximately 2.2 meters away, and I would put it anything up to 0.5 meter high on your tripod. And we recommend that you use the auto capture feature in your settings and then highlight with the red box the ball, so cover the ball with the red box like it is on the face-on view. We use cloud processing. I will explain more about why we use cloud processing later. So therefore, your image, your video is sent to the cloud, uploaded. It is passed through the server. Our AI will intercept it and help with any of the markers if they're out of place, and therefore then send you back a file which then gives you your 3D data. So you do need to have an internet connection, whether that's Wi-Fi, 5G or a minimum of 4G. 3G won't work purely because our video is quite data hungry. It's a big file on your phone, so therefore you do need to be running a minimum of 4G. Our recommendation would be you stick to the same view in your lesson, okay, from a 3D data perspective, purely because the data is obviously organized as per the view that the AI has. If you're showing hand path, by all means, go to down the line and show that over the top hand path, for example. But if you're just wanting to capture, if you're using it through 3D data, stay on the same view for the entire lesson. So to be clear here then, to conclude this slide, the data captured is in respect to the camera line. So if you start twisting your phone around and it's not like it is as I've set it up there, you are going to affect the data that you will have on your capture. Okay, so
if I may,
yeah,
I would like to say just one thing. Every 3D system out there has a calibration process. Well, this is ours, you know, and it has to be respected and done correctly if you want to have some good data.
100%. And coaches, if you're going to get your clients to use this, teach them that if you need to use this and screenshot that exact image, if you want us to provide you with that, or you do your own, teach your students who will use this how to put the tripod in the right place. You probably already do it for video. If you're on Skillish, you no doubt teach them how to do that, because we know the importance of the camera lines. It's exactly that. This is our calibration process. We want you to have the best data possible. Okay, so this is just the playthrough. A lot of these slides, these are in slide form as well. So this is just the starting off with the app itself, downloading it, signing up, putting in your name, your detail, and then you will get an email and therefore a verification code via the email. That's your secure login. You can then go in and tailor your profile and have your own gallery picture in there as well. And then this is how you log in. Okay. So pretty straightforward. That's that video there. So this is the first important step. This would be at the start of your lesson. You put in the credentials of your individual, i.e. their height and weight. You will then select, in body scan, you get the height and weight function option, so you add that in. You will then capture in that freeze mode. You will then visualize it. Takes less than 20 seconds. It actually takes less than 10 now. How they've slightly changed the process of that recently, so that's coming through very, very quick. And then you will get that avatar on the right hand side. If you look at the small print there, you will get the length, the size and weight of each of the segments. So it breaks the avatar down. That avatar then is saved for the session until you do a new body scan. So if you're doing it for a student who's a guest without an account, it will only hold their avatar until you do the next body scan. If you set them up individually with their own account, it will save their avatar to their account, or their credentials and detail of body to their account. That's your body scan feature. So recording a swing, straightforward, capture. Once you've done your body scan, capture, 3D capture or 2D capture. We now have that option. This was new in 2.0, having the option of two different types of capture if you want to do just video or you do want to have 3D data. So you select full swing, you select face on, the credentials and detail of the person will already be saved from the body scan, so their height and weight. You can do height in feet or centimeters, weight in kilos or pounds, I believe, so you can change the options on the drop down. Your tripod is set up. This is me setting auto capture, so I've got the timer there. We don't use the timer anymore. On step 19, you just go to settings on the bottom right, you slide auto capture, and then when you go to save, you will then have your little red box. You will then slide the red box over your ball, and you can see the ball has got a little green box around it. And then effectively it will say, the system will say ball detected. And then within a couple of seconds, it will say ready for capture. So you just wait for the system to tell you that it has the ball. And then it will tell you that it's ready for you, ready for the player to make a swing. So this was a big breakthrough for us because originally we had the timer and you have to wait for the countdown, which it was a bit of a big deal for us. So, and this has been streamlined, I believe, throughout 2.0 as we've updated the app, several additions now to 2.6 that I believe that we're on now. The ball triggering, capturing process is much tighter now. And they're really good on how the ball moves and detecting the swing. Anything to add on that, David?
Yeah, you might want to use white balls, those yellow ones we sometimes have on practice ranges are not good enough, and the system sees more clearly a white ball.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so
and from experience, you don't want to forget to hit the save button, because I've done this so many times. And it pisses me off. I have to redo it again and again because I always forgot to hit the save button. I just hit the arrow on the top of the screen and forgot to hit the save button each time.
So, on what? On your settings?
Yeah.
You soon get used to that, though. I must have. It's just part of the process now.
It's been a year now. I should be used to it.
Okay, so big deal, this slide, probably one of the most important slides in our presentation. It's all about light. So think of your camera as just like your eyes. You're not going to see much in a dark room. So therefore, it's not going to be a very good video to give to the server and the AI when it can't see much. So we've developed our app now, not only from one of the main reasons why we use cloud processing, is that we are the only app on the market that you can extract a video that's 240 frames, 8,000 shutter speed, and ISO options as well. No other application on the market at the moment allows you to change internally the settings of the iPhone as much as our app does. Don't ask how. If we did give you the answer, we'd have to kill you. But we got some super smart team that cracked the code. Nobody else on the planet has done it. So therefore, you cannot import videos because we've taught our AI to predict or to estimate movement through our captures at 240 and up to 8,000. Its best estimation is at 8,000. If you start to move the shutter speed down because of poor light, it won't be as good. So if you're able to be outside, you've got 360 degrees of light. It works great. 8,000, brilliant. I mean, you can see grains of sand in a bunker shot. It's that good. If you are in a dark driving range, you're going to have to turn your shutter speed down, unfortunately. We've designed this around being light and as light as possible. As a coach, if you have the option to be able to upgrade your lighting, I've just bought some new LED panels in my bay. I've just upgraded the light. It looks like Crystal Palace. It's like a football stadium in my bay now. And when I spoke to the company, they basically said, I said, have I got too much lux here, too much light? And they said, you can never have enough light. So I've got 60,000 lux. I think I'm addicted. I'm going to go up to 120,000 lux. It's just so bright in there. I want the camera to be at 8,000, the ISO to be down as low as possible. Therefore, you are getting so many frames captured, and the speed and the clarity of the club and the shaft is brilliant, and the ball tracking is brilliant as well. However, low light, you just switch the shutter speed right down and the ISO right up. So it will work. It just won't be as good as the highlight or high quality light settings that, for example, on the right hand side, you can see just that clarity difference in the visuals. just me using LED spotlights versus studio-based camera lighting on the right-hand side there. Okay. So the P positions, for those of you that don't, the P positions explained very briefly on this slide. P1 address, P2 shaft horizontal, P3 left arm horizontal, lead arm horizontal, P4 top of backswing, P5 lead arm horizontal downswing, P6 shaft horizontal downswing, P7 impact, P8 is shaft, P9 is arm horizontal on the follow through, P10 is the position. So this is the Mac O'Grady P positions that so many of us has come to know. We use these as reference points, and our tracking system then plots these points to give our graphs and the timings on the graphs, as David will explain a little bit later when we go through some of those graphs. Now, this particular slide now has actually now become redundant, because before we could manually change P positions, we're actually just going through a testing phase at the moment. So it's semi-redundant, this P position. I left it in here because this is what we used to do for every capture. After the capture itself, you tap on that P icon on the bottom right-hand side, you select yes, and then you go through the main P positions. Now, generally, it was pretty good. I think it was something like, I would always check P4, P6 and P7 and manually change them. So you tap on one of those Ps, you move the video frame by plus or minus, you get it to the right point, you then save it, you move on to the next P. So effectively you tap on it again to go green, and then you save all of those positions. Now we're trying to get to a point where we're doing this for you. So if you have 8,000 shutter speed at 240 and low ISO, it's pretty much 99% spot on now. So we are trying to take this section out, but I have left it in there just for good measure. If we do reintroduce setting P positions, you can reference this video or this presentation again, and that's an instruction of how to change the P positions manually. Okay, so once you've captured your swing, you will have that option on the left-hand side, 3 options to tap. You either repeat, select new, or visualize. Repeat discards the last and puts you back onto the live screen mode. New processes the last and puts you on the live screen mode, and visualize just puts you into process on its own. So step 28 is what you would get if you tap visualize. Now, the reason why I've explained this is that is a really good function and feature to use, is new. So I get a lot of people that say to me, Steve, it takes too long to process the video. It takes about 40 seconds. We are trying to bring that time down. We will get there. It will come down. Our target is to bring it down under that as well. However, if you tap new and record another one, I record at least 6 swings before I interrogate the data. So I generally do 3 iron swings, 3 drivers, and by the time I've completed the 6th capture, the first one has processed and is ready for analysis in the history. Okay, so that's one way of cutting down, so there's no downtime. So just tap the new and keep capturing and do at least 6, and then swing 1 will be ready to view. So if you tap visualize, you got step 28. You get the option, you can have drawing tools at this point, because step 28 is on the top right, you can see of the phone screen there, it says uploading. So the 3D is being processed in the background, but you still have video to analyze, ready to go, instant video. So if you want to add drawings, you click on the calligraphy pen, you select yes, you draw from the icons on the right-hand side, you select all, you select save, and then when you tap on the palette icon, step 31, it will bring up your video with the saved drawings that you've put on the screen, and then you can play the video backwards and forwards with your saved drawings on. So that's your video analysis, so that you have zero downtime waiting for the 3D to come through, because you do your video check first. It's now 40 seconds, it's no longer 60. You will then have the icons that will appear on the bottom. So you've got the stick figure, the 3D, and the club and hand tracer. And then you, for example, I've clicked on the 3D icon. So the 3D avatar, which is why we want the body scan, will come up built like that. If you don't want the drawing tools, I want to take them off. Basically, I go back to the drawings and take them off and reset them. So then you can have your video or your avatar or your stick figure with no drawings on. Step 36 is when you introduce your data, how I'm showing it here. So your data tiles are at the bottom third of your screen. You swipe from right to left, you will get 9 static insights. If you swipe again from right to left, you will get the live data tiles. So when you play your video, the live data will be showing, or you can show it on stick figure, or you can show it on the avatar. So you've got your data there showing live. We chose those 9 insights. We'll go into those when David breaks down the key data, but they're very critical. We think that they're very important data points, like hand speed, tempo, shoulder turn, etc. But just quick insights, if a quick glance you want to have a look, and then you can go back to your live and play it through. Anything to add on those, David?
Yeah, well, I use the app pretty much the same way. I often go 2D only first, capture like 2 or 3 swings, and talk about the video like we did in the old days, and most of us do it today as well. And then I go and then I spot something on the video, and with the student I go into the history and look at the 3D data.
Absolutely.
I'm
exactly the same. So I'll play through the video. For example, I'm going to pick on me here. I'm going to look at my shoulder turn, as I know it's always, because I'm a lazy fat old man. I don't turn my shoulder line enough. So then I would then say, I think that shoulder turn is a little bit under. We're going to wait for the 3D data, but we need to be turning that past that. And I'd like that to be a minimum of 90 to more like 100 degrees of shoulder turn. So I would always clarify the numbers, but I will pinpoint some things on video and just go through the process. And if you did it just with one capture, by the time you analyze the video and talk through the P positions in the video and each backswing and forward swing, it's processed in 3D, ready to go. So you swipe across and get your values to match it up. Okay. I think Ernest is trying to get back in. Do you want to let him in, David? Could you please?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you've got short game capture feature, bunker, and putting. So these are being developed all the time, but very cool that you can do the short shots. We've got some key metrics in putting as well. Left knee angle, left elbow angle, some cool stuff that we have with putting, and these will only get better over time as well. So connecting with a striker, it's a really coach feature, this.
Steve, maybe we do have some questions, I see.
Okay.
Can you describe the difference between 2D and 3D capture?
So 2D is video analysis. 3D is the 3D data of tilts, bends and turns, showed as insights, live data and report function. Okay,
and next one is, how would the data be affected if you didn't do a body scan prior to capture?
It won't be affected. It just won't give you a bespoke, tailored sized avatar. Okay, so the avatar is built on the body scan. So when you pull up the avatar, the 3D avatar, it looks like the player because we've measured the segment lengths. We don't use it for anything else other than that. The credentials are incredibly important, the height and weight for accurate vertical force prediction.
Yeah.
Okay, and center of mass tracking. So you do have to put them in right. You can't go forwards off that screen without putting in height and weight. If it's an uncomfortable question, you soon become comfortable asking it. It rolls off the tongue with me. I say it as part of my debrief. I just get basic details of the golfer and I take the height and weight off them there and then. So some people are uncomfortable. It's one of those things you do have to get comfortable with, because you do need to put that weights input into the player's detail. Okay, so connecting with a striker. So I'm just going to play this video through. So you enter the email details of the player. Oh, this is going through fast. I don't know why this plays through fast. This did this last time. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go through this in slide form anyway. So basically what I'm showing there is two different ways of connecting with your striker. Okay. The first one is the invitation, the straightforward guest option. So if they don't have the app already, you would put in their name, first name, last name, handedness, and then you'd put in their email, send them that, and then they will get, at step 40, you will see they will get an instant email, and then they accept that invitation to share their data. That is just guest data. They can't access that data because they don't have a program themselves. That just gives them gives you the right to use their data, access their data. And if they do want to access it in the future, they can, because it's stored in the cloud. The other option is you just do the connect. So if you was to tap on connect, they have already got the app. You would just put in the email that's associated with the app when they registered, and then they will be able to connect with you straight away. So once you've done that and they've accepted, so this is the process. This is my process. This is how I do it. I'm not saying this is how you should do it, but this is how I do it. The night before, I invite everybody that isn't already connected with me to my list. I add them. So then they have that evening or morning to accept to join my striker list. So I give them plenty of chance to accept the email so that they are on my striker list. If they don't, I will capture them on my own personal account, but I do want them to have their own account, and I do want it logged underneath their name on the striker list, because it populates my history much easier and I can access their data much quicker just by 2 taps on their name and onto their history. Okay, so I do that the night before to give them a chance to accept it. And then this is how you would access them. So you would go select your striker list on the top left. You go back, you then select all strikers. You highlight the name, here's Alex James. You select yes. Then step 43, you can see Alex James is highlighted at the bottom. And then if I tap on history, I can see all of Alex James's history from his captures. So that's basically it, all ordered. We get a lot of people saying, oh, your file numbers are too big. Can we change the file numbers? We didn't design the app to individually do it to your own personal account. We designed the app to give the striker their data, and then you have access to their data. Okay, that's how we designed it. We designed it where you invite them to be on your striker list. And as the app is developing, as we move towards 3.0, we've got a brand new communication channel opening up inside the app. So you can talk, you can exchange media, you can screencast, screen record, send that via the app as well. We've got our own communication line coming in. So therefore, we want you to invite your students to become strikers, so then you can easily exchange data and information, files, videos to them via the app. So accessing the striker's data, tap on history. This is Alex James. It's going to go into a month here, and then I've got his recording. So the good thing is, obviously, then I'm only going to see his history If I go to my own history, it's populated as long as my arm, and I've got to try and find the video. Because Alex is in my strikers list, when he walks into my studio, I'm recording on his behalf. I can then access just his recordings from the day that I recorded them on. We can go into that a little bit more. There's quite a lot of information there. If anyone needs more support and advice regarding getting your strikers and clients on the app, just reach out to David or myself and we can talk you through that process. But like I say, I just go through my diary the night before, and anyone that isn't already on my striker list, I invite them the night before and send brand new invitations out so that they are on that. They've had at least the minimum of 12 hours to get back to me and accept it. So then they are on my strikers list. David?
Yeah.
Good.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions regarding that there? Because that is quite detailed and potentially a little bit complex. I hope not too complex.
Yeah, just one thing. I don't think we mentioned that, but simple things. Those icons where the hand is pointing on the right side, the left icon, the triangle shaped one, is the 3D data, and the
visualize.
Yeah, and the other one is the report. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We can come back to that anyway if there's more questions or anyone. Obviously, there's a number of people that are going to be watching this after the event. So please just reach out if you want more detail about that process of inviting and adding clients as strikers to the app. Okay. So this is a recent feature. This is one of the most recent updates. We are introducing club head and hand tracking. And there is another little line on there as well, which I won't mention. My lips are sealed at the bottom there as well. So therefore, we ask you to put it onto landscape mode. We ask you to obviously position the camera. We're saying about 3 meters. And this is really cool because you get the entire club head tracked and the hand path there as well. We're going to be using this feature going forwards. As you can see on the main menu screen there, Club Tracer. We're going to be using this for some other cool stuff later on. My lips are sealed. I can't disclose any more information than that. They'll send the hitman round to kill me if I do. So therefore, we are advising to give this a go and certainly get out there and start using this landscape feature. And it's really cool. I love the graphics of this. I do show hand path. I don't know about you, David, but I like to show people for wedge play, for driver, when the hands are working up and in, and certainly for low point control where the hands are as well in the arc.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So this will be a very, very quick feature going forwards. This particular option will be an instant transaction. So this is where we bring your processing down. So this won't be for 3D. This will be used for tracking different things, but it will be an instant transaction. So you'll have that video immediately and you'll have various tracers on the screen there that you can use for analysis. Okay, so this is just an example of a playthrough with the live data. So that's visualized as the stick figure. And then we've got center of mass in the middle. So there's your live data and then your live data with your stick figure. You can see how quick that whole process is. Okay. David, please grace us with your lovely French accent. And let's have some of your great mind over these next slides. But you can tell us a little bit more about the measured data on the app, please.
Yeah, but we need to keep it simple, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We will keep it simple. Hopefully we've done a good job at that, but
All right. So let's go with the data we measure at the moment. So we do measure tempos, obviously in seconds. So we have backswing time, downswing time, and the ratio between the two, which is tempo ratio. We also have rotations, head, shoulders, shoulder line, and pelvis. We don't have thorax yet. We're going to have this one, Steve. No, maybe.
Possibly. It's always talked about, but I think it won't be in the mobile app. It'll probably be, if it does come, it'll be in studio. But
in studio, right.
Yeah, it'll be in the studio where we visualize it a little bit different.
So we do have hand path lengths. We already showed that a little bit in centimeters in the backswing and the downswing. We have side tilts again for head, shoulder line, and pelvis. And we do have hand speed, max hand speed in the first set of numbers and a live number. We also have a little bit of more data in putting short game. I haven't used short game for a while. Do we have the short game is the same, right, Steve?
Short game is the same. Putting, we've got lead elbow and lead knee.
Yeah, we have lead knee and lead arm flexion extension, right?
So these are all current data, the metrics that we currently have. Studio, there's more. We'll talk about that later. But there are over 430 data points captured sitting in the back end. I think exact 433. We just show a handful here, but there are more to come in the future. We have got so much data sitting in the back end.
Yeah, if you see that Excel sheet that's coming out of the capture, it's an endless one.
Yeah, it's like the lines of Matrix. There's a lot of data. So there's obviously so much you're going to visualize on a resolution of a mobile phone screen. And also from our perspective, it is a quick glance at the mobile. It's a very quick grab on the go. We will have the Studio Lite, which will be a desktop version browser. And then we have the Studio system, which is currently almost about to go live, coming out of beta now, but we are now actually sending out force plates and camera systems now as we speak.
And what should be said also is that everything is connected through the cloud. So you can change the slide, please, Steve. But everything is connected. So if you capture on your studio, you populate your striker history, but then you go outside on the course and you capture a swing on the course with a mobile phone. It goes in the same history, and you can look at it in your studio, and you can look at the studio captures onto your mobile.
Yeah,
so
it's brilliant.
Everything's connected. That's brilliant.
And this is seamless transaction, and I have done that now many times. You have a client that says, well, this is all good, Steve, but on the first tee, I snap hook it all the time. Then we just walk over to the first tee and we go and capture. And then we walk back to the studio and we look at both swings from what they walked out with to what they set up and hit on the tee. So you've got that seamless transaction that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and we do have a third option to come in soon, probably, but we won't talk about it, right?
The hybrid.
Yeah.
The in-between. Yes, the browser version will be coming in between. We can talk about that, but that's to follow as well, which will soon follow the studio when it goes live.
Yeah. So regarding tempo, typically a backswing duration is about 0.7 or 2.9 seconds. The downswing is about 0.23, 0.3 seconds. And obviously what's important is the ratio between the two. So common sense tells us that the ratio should be 3.0 to 1. Well, in reality, if you look at big databases, you can easily say that something between 2.7 to 1 and between 2.7 and 3.3 is quite good. It will depend on the player and the length of his backswing, of course. But you know what, Steve? I've seen a video recently. I don't know who did it, but it was an amateur swing, and the amateur came to the top of the backswing, and it was compared to two, maybe McIlroy and John Rahm, maybe, I think. And the two professional players were at Impact when the guy was at top of the backswing. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I call this the glue. The tempo is the glue of the golf swing. And I use the app so much now for tempo, for checking that. And then I use some sort of metronome to get them kind of feeling those different beats, but more so just help them count and spend more time in backswing, because that ratio is so often out with amateur golfers, so often out.
Yeah. And obviously, we already told them, and I'm going to say it again, setting up the P position correctly, if the system didn't do it perfectly, it's really important, because you won't have the correct time if you don't set up P4 at the good time, and P7 as well. So it really needs to be set up correctly in order to have good data. So it's, well, even if the system is way better now than it was early on with the P position, I still check it out every time I want to look seriously at a capture. So I double check every P position. So it takes a little bit of time. It's going to go down because the system is going to go better, but it really needs to be correct. You don't want to assume something and find out that it was wrong because the P position were set up incorrectly, correct? So that's very, very important. So let's go to the next slide, Steve, please. Hand pass. So for speed generation, obviously we see a longer hand pass swing, like from the Martin swing we saw earlier. And when you have, I mean, a great player or someone who is creating a lot of speed, you have this big banana shape we want to see, and which is very important near impact and through impact, I should say. The hand pass is going up and in, which we obviously don't see from this view, but up and in, very important. Otherwise, you won't release the club head properly. So it's very, very key to have a hand pass going up and in through impact. Speed control, we can, as Steve said earlier, we can very much use this feature for wedge play and control how the player is going when he wants to hit it like a half of a backswing. You know, we can measure the swing length and be I can't find the words to help me there, but you know, be able to repeat this house swing over and over. It's a good tool to work on this. So you just, let's say you just capture 5-6 swings in a row, and then you look at the measurements if it's consistent or not. You know, that there are some pretty cool ways to work on this.
Yeah, great.
Let's go to the other slide. So max hand speed, we have different ways to look at hand speed. It is display, the max hand speed is displayed in the first set of numbers, bottom right, I guess, or middle right. I don't
it is, it is.
And we also have in the second set of numbers a live number, so you can see the hand speed at whatever position in the swing you want to look in. And we also have the graph, which is very important to have a view of the entire hand speed throughout the swing. So it's a very important graph. And what we can learn about with this graph is that a good deceleration timing is between P5 and P5.5, but we're going to see this more in the report soon. And we need to have a decent amount of deceleration, probably between 30 to 50%. Very, very important, because it's not the hands you don't want the hands to become the fastest at impact. That's a club head. So you have to kind of slow down the hands through impact in order to have the club head go very fast, if you're looking for club head speed, of course.
Interesting one, that, David. Obviously, we've been working a lot on level 1 recently on the university, and we had those. We did that comparison of 5 or 6 different players, from a DP World Tour player right down to obviously current long driver to an LET player, an amateur elite player, and then just an amateur club golfer. And it was huge, wasn't it? That decel, percentage that a good player can slow his hands down, he or she, they have this ability. That is what it's all about. It's getting the hands to peak at the right time, and then to slow down enough at impact to be able to release the club.
Yeah. Just out of my mind, we could definitely see some kind of sequence between the peak of the vertical force, the peak of the hand speed, and hand speed at impact. There's a clear relationship here for sure.
100% with vertical forces. They're around, peaking around the same time. Slightly before maybe with driver, but we're roughly seeing it. And then obviously from how the hands are decelerating and how the hand path is changing its trajectory, is very much a reaction to the peak vertical force, because the body will move through that force that's going up, mainly through the lead side.
Mm-hmm. So Next slide, please. Rotations now. So very important, we measure shoulder line rotation. So the data points we are looking at are you could say the AC joints on each shoulder. Yes, Steve.
You see me?
Yeah.
So if we were to AC joints here, so outside of the shoulder here, neck, if we feel around there's a bumpy bit around the midpoint there. They're your AC joints. So just come down slightly low of those positions. If I was to place this rod through that would be our shoulder line that we track.
Yeah. So we do track shoulder line, not thorax. So in our measurement, we take into account the movement of each shoulder. So typically, we don't see the same measurement for shoulder line compared to thorax, right? So,
can we demonstrate this?
Oh, yeah, yes, you can. Don't hurt yourself, right? You can be useful.
Oh, okay, right. So I'm just going to do without, this is the line across the back of my shoulders. That's how much turn I've got.
Yeah.
Then if I move this to the front.
Well, you're older than me.
Oh, God, my goodness. I'm creaking. I need some WD-40. Bit of 3-in-1 oil. Right, yeah, but you can see quite clearly, as soon as I move this to the front, I'm showing a bigger turn value there. So that's why our value can't be compared to thorax. So is very much our value from where we track it from.
Yeah. So we typically will have a bigger number in shoulder line rotation compared to thorax at top of the backswing. We're looking for maybe 90 degrees to 100 degrees for an iron, and up to 110 degrees would be, I wouldn't say minimum, but quite good if you want to have some good speed and a good path. And at impact, typically the thorax will be open, something like 15, 20, 30 degrees maybe, for females probably. And but let me admit,
I can do that while you're doing it, David.
Okay. And but at P7, shoulder is going to be pretty much square. It can change a little bit if we want to create some kind of a different trajectory. So it can be slightly closed if you want to hit a draw, and slightly open if you want to hit a fade. So clearly, shoulder line rotation is not thorax rotation measurement. It's different. For pelvis, we are pretty close and to other systems. So at P4,
so I'm going to go sort of center of hip joints here, David. Yeah. So I'm just pointing to my center of my hips, draw a line across there. So that's our pelvis line that we're moving from there.
Nice pelvis, Steve.
Thanks very much. Like my belt. Just for you, that one.
So typically we will see at P4, depending on male or female and flexible or not, or how you use the legs and ground reaction forces, we can see from 35 to 55 degrees closed. And at P7, 30 or maybe slightly less, 30 degrees to 60 degrees open. I think the biggest I've measured, but not in this system, is like a woman was 80 degrees open at impact.
My goodness me. She looked like a pretzel at impact.
And yeah, well, she was pretty high level, and I told her coach that she needed to stop that. And he didn't listen in the year after she stopped her career because she was injured all the time. So I told him, but well, it's just the way it is. So, next slide, please. Side tilt. So shoulder line side tilt. Again, we take into account the movement of each shoulder. So one shoulder can be a little bit higher and the other one a little bit lower. So the measurement could be slightly different from the thorax measurement. So what we're looking at is like 10 degrees or so for an iron at address, and a little bit more for a driver, 15 degrees maybe. And those numbers can change regarding pelvis position or grip shape. If you have a stronger grip on both hands, you will probably get a little bit more of shoulder line tilt at address. P4, we're looking at a negative number. I didn't say that, but negative number of 30 degrees for a driver and slightly more, 35 degrees for an iron. I find that I can't really, we don't have, I won't say that. I was about to talk about bend, but we don't have it yet. And at P7, a good rule of thumb would be to double the number we have at address. So in the example below, we have 1179 at address, and we have 22 something at impact. So that's pretty cool. And pelvis is pretty level to the ground at address. If you want to go somewhere maybe slightly positive, so that means the lead hip slightly higher. And at P4, we have, it's kind of a, I don't know. It would be interesting to match what you have top of the backswing and impact for an iron. So -10, top of the backswing and 10 at impact. And for a driver, it should be a little higher, maybe 15, depending on how you use the ground. But you might want to have a bigger number for the driver, for the side tilt, for pelvis side tilt. That would be much more easier to take the ball upward in good conditions, right? So yeah, can we move to the next one?
Okay, so this is just a playthrough. Let me just play this video through. So this is the report feature. So you visualize the report icon, and that's your report. Okay, and you can export that, send it on WhatsApp, send it via email. So that's that little icon up the top right-hand side to export.
Right, so that's a typical graph we're going to find in the report. So graphs are always built the same way. We have the value measured on the y axis, which is here degrees, and the x-axis is always time. So here we have pelvis angles, so rotation and tilt. Tilt is in red, rotation in blue. Once you have some kind of a flat line on a plot, it means that the value is stable. So in the specific graph, if the plot, let's say the blue plot, is going down under 0, it means that the pelvis is rotated away from the target. And as soon as it goes up, it starts to rotate towards the target. So if we look closely, we can see that the pelvis is rotating towards the target just before top of the backswing, which is a good idea. The graphs are always good. They could be tough to read, but once you get it, you can see the whole motion into one site, So that's really, really nice to be able to read those graphs efficiently. So we will probably talk more about that into University 1, level 1.
Absolutely.
So those graphs are really, really important. So can we move to the next one, which will be shoulder, I guess? All right. So again, in the red graph, we have like a flat spot. So it means that we have the same one on pelvis. It means that when you transition, the angle of the shoulder line and the pelvis remains the same a little bit, and then it changes. So that is it happens probably when you move your weight forward, right, Steve, or your pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that lateral displacement, isn't there? The segments of pelvis and rib cage.
That we can see in the COM trace, and we'll talk about this a little bit after.
Yeah.
You can see, which is very important, very common, that the shoulder side tilt is going up after impact, which is very, very important. And the max value is about 50 degrees for this player. You shouldn't allow your players to go above 60 degrees, because it could become an injury probably on the right side for a right-handed player, on the back. So too much shoulder side tilt could lead to an injury for sure. And we can see as well that for this player, on the blue plot, shoulder line rotation, we can see that the rotation is going up. So the change of direction in the rotation happens before the top of the backswing, which is important as well. And as a rule of thumb, the displacements towards the target always happen before the rotation towards the target.
Yeah.
100% of the player measured on any 3D system that is good at what it does is like that. The displacement always happen before the rotation at transition. Very important.
Yeah.
Hand speed, critical plot, right, Steve?
Very good. Love this.
Yeah.
One of our favorites.
Yeah. So the key points here is peak pelvis speed. Peak hand speed, which should happen at P5, P5.5, and we should see a good amount of deceleration like this player. So his max is at just a little bit above 15 miles per hour, and it goes down to probably 10. So it's going to be like 30%, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's in the good range, I would say. So that's very important to see. All of a sudden, if you look at this graph, if your player hand are decelerating enough, and in the right time. So you instantly know if you have some speed loss somewhere around here, and so it's a key graph regarding that for sure. Anything you want to add, Steve?
Yeah, just kind of some of the common traits that we see, some sort of more rank amateur golfers, the kind of handle dragging where they're kind of not quite in getting that peak speed early enough, not slowing it down. They're just dragging their arms through, trying to hold their angles. You'll see that because you have that late peak.
Concept. Mainly bad concept, right? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Quite often bad concept, but it's how they understand it. So, and interesting when hand speed, whenever I do my speed clinics and speed groups, I ask when should the hands be at their fastest, and I give them 3 options. I give them the sort of halfway down, I give them impact, and I give them post impact. Most of the group will think it's an impact. And then you'll have some that will say after, not many. And you have then the rest that will say halfway down. But most of them think the hands need to be at their fastest at impact, amateur golfers.
Yeah. But
just tell it that on their own. As soon as they know that when they should be, it's a different story from there on. It's a whole new level for them.
Yeah. And it was the same for the kinematic sequence for those of you who are familiar with that. This shows typically the pelvis, thorax or shoulders, arm and club rotational speeds or rotational velocities. Sorry, and some of us, me as well, when I saw this first, were shocked that all of these segments, except for the club, are decelerating before impact, and it's critical. So This is the same thing, hand speed has to slow down through impact. Very important.
Yeah. Okay. Vertical force. Want me to explain this one, David?
Sure.
Okay. So slightly different with the plot. The vertical axis is weight as a percentage against the body. And then you've got the same time and the horizontal line along the bottom. So therefore, really two kind of critical events we're looking for is the lightest state where the golfer is at the highest point with their hands, most stretched with their spine, kind of top of backswing, just past top of backswing. When they're in that state of free fall, that's when they're at their lightest. So they're going to get down to, a good player will get down to anything between 50 and 60. I've seen as low as kind of mid 40s. A rank amateur golfer will be struggling to get lighter than 80% as a percentage of their body weight. So they struggle to have that quick acceleration down. And then the second critical event then is peak vertical force. So this generally happens between shaft vertical and shaft horizontal. So around P5.5-ish. You may see long drivers before that because effectively they're creating more force. They're moving the club faster. By the time that force affects their body by P7, they will be peaking it earlier. But iron shots, wedge shots, you may see vertical force peak at 6. But most good players is around P5.5. And then obviously you're then seeing that big downward curve there as they go into impact, as they're getting into state of light. Again, their body is rising up, segments are rising up, lead side is displacing upwards, trail side downwards. And we see many players with feet off the ground, lead foot, and even both feet off the ground at impact, which many years ago we was taught not to do. It's certainly knowing what we know about vertical forces now. If that happens, if they've no longer wear it, if they're, like I was told, quiet feet work a treat. So my feet were supposed to be very stable at impact, but we know clearly now that's not the case, especially if they're creating huge amounts of vertical force and they displace that lead side up. And we know that rise, not only in the pelvis and the lead side, is so critical in changing the trajectory of the hand path as well and releasing the club. Okay, center of mass. I'm going to play this video. So we're going to see this blue trace line. We're going to see the ringer. I'm going to explain all of it, but I'll just play this through. We just see this moving. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more about the center of mass. So a point representing the mean position of the mass of the body. I like to refer it as the point in your body where there's equal mass above, below, and either side, essentially around the belly button. So I'm going to stand here, and it won't be this big, by the way, but I'm just going to use this big disc just as an example. Sits around there. Okay. Gives us an insight of the amount of linear movement, sway, lift, thrust. Okay. It's also, for a free moving body, COM can be considered as the point of rotation. So if I rotate in 3 different planes here, this is a side tilt. This is a rotational movement. And this is a bending movement forwards and backwards. So I'm rotating about my center of mass to side tilt, front and back bend and rotate. We show a lot of this in the studio. This is what we do with the force plate system that we have in the studio system. But on the mobile, we obviously show you that as a graphic and the whole trace of the COM. So your torques, your rotational force about the COM essentially aids the golfer. Doesn't mean they are going to side tilt, bend or rotate. It aids their ability to move the way that they need to and orientate their body into impact and beyond. So through the way the AI works, more so with inputting the correct data, the height and weight of the player, the body scan doesn't really come into play on this. It's more for how the avatar works. We can calculate the center of mass. We show the COM ring. It's not actually in the app at the moment due to a glitch, but it is being put back on it. It's actually in the studio version. So the ring is just a reference point just for ease of use and understanding for both player and coach. It's a 6-inch radius either side. It's a 4-inch radius vertically. So a lot of people say, well, do you move 6 inches? No, but we were working with Martin Borgmeier at the beginning. So it was very much a COM ring that shows what the longest and fastest players could do. But more often than not, you're going to see it well within that, a couple of inches off to the trail, an inch or 2 up, goes back down again, just maybe below where it started and then rises back up. But we are obviously seeing that's the vertical component. There is a lateral component of that. So when we look at obviously these traces here, these typical kind of just random traces I pulled off my database. So when you compare our COM tracking through camera with force plate systems that you can also track COM. So for our 8 to 12 euro a month app versus a 28,000 euro system, you can quite clearly see these are these are captured, the same swing, 3 different players captured on force plates and captured on camera on Motion to Coach. There's an uncanny resemblance. They look identical if it wasn't for the slight difference in color. So when this was introduced, COM tracking, we thought it was a game changer. I still believe and still say this to this point. It's a massive thing to show your player how much they're essentially moving their weight during their swing, how much they're rising, how much they're coming back down, how much they're rising up again. Show the COM trace, zoom in. So on your mobile phone, pinch the screen, widen it out, and you can get a big view of your COM, and then zoom it back out again if you wanted to show them with that on the stick figure. So the good thing about having it on camera, you don't have to pause like you do with force plates. You can hover the club and lower it. You can't do that on force plates. As soon as you lower the club, the system thinks that you're dropping downwards. There's unlimited tracking duration versus other systems, which you've got about 3 seconds to accurately measure COM. And also force plates do need, if you're installing force plates, they need to have a spirit level subsurface, and it needs to be as best as it can be vibration free, because that's all noise. So if the plates are tilted, it's noise. If the subfloor is moving up and down because you're on the 60th floor in a hotel, I was in Korea and tried to get my force plates to work. I had to change the tolerance levels because the hotel was moving. Obviously, we don't know that standing up as a human being, but hotels move the higher you go up. So therefore, the floor is moving. So you don't have to do that with camera tracking. So ours is much simpler and much cheaper. Okay, so before we go through onto this was something I created for a group of coaches that I did some work with and did some mobile phone presentation with them as well, helping them understand the app. And this was monetizing. Before I go into this, which is quite close to us coming to the end of this presentation, to be honest, are there any questions that we've got up to this point? Any questions on anything that we've covered with the data? The live data, obviously, David talking through the hand speed, hand path length, hand speed, rotations, shoulder and pelvis, side tilt, shoulder and pelvis, and then the reports, how to read a graph. Any questions regarding those slides? Oh, we've got a quiet bunch tonight, David.
We do?
Any questions? Have you got anyone?
No, I don't think so.
If anyone wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself if we can't hear you. Okay. A quiet bunch, a sleepy bunch. Maybe we put them to sleep, David.
Yeah, maybe. What was me? It was me for sure.
Any questions afterwards, please?
I have one quick question.
Sorry, who's this?
Thomas.
Hi,
Thomas.
How are you?
I'm good. A couple times thanks for doing this, by the way. It's really helpful.
No problem, Thomas.
A couple of times when after I've gotten the numbers to come up, the static numbers come up, but on the dynamic numbers, all I see is little teeny circles in each box. What does that what does that mean happened?
I'll go into detail with that a little bit, Thomas. So recently we've changed the way that we are tracking the swing. So we're using ball, and when the ball is launched, it's then capturing. So once we've when we introduced auto detect with the ball, we've also started more recently as well, started to track the club to set the P positions, because we was finding that people weren't setting the P positions correctly. So we're getting invalid data with the graphs. So we started to use the AI. As the AI gets smarter, it's going to get better at detecting positions from the video. The only thing I can say with that is that potential light is a big deal here. So I don't know what you've got your shutter, what you can put your shutter speed up to. If it's auto brightness that you've got, or you're using a player app, the likelihood is that it's to do with the light, because it's not quite light enough. Therefore, it's not quite tracking the club as clean as it could. Therefore, the video, when it's triggered, is slightly mistimed. We are aware of that bug and glitch at the moment, and it's being fixed. It was to be fixed at the new update that was coming. But I think I was hoping to get Bennett Wolf on today, but he's leaving super early tomorrow morning. He's CEO of the company. He's one of the directors of the company, co-directors, and he's also head of global sales. He was going to give us a little bit of a taste and a view of the studio system. Is that if the light's not high enough and you can't set that on your phone, so can't get good light, it just simply doesn't pull out a good enough video. So it doesn't give you those data. It's not every time though, Thomas, right?
Oh no, definitely not every time, and it's getting much better over the last month. It's gotten a lot better in terms of me being able to get those numbers when I'm out on the range and have a 5G connection. But the lighting in those situations where I get it I thought about that at first, but it seems like, I mean, it's outdoors, it's sunny, and I have it set at auto brightness. So the times that I've seen that have been under those circumstances. So I'm not sure lighting is the issue there.
So yeah. If it was a couple of months ago, that was a fault in the app which was updated in 2.6. So we actually ironed out that fault from months ago or weeks ago, and that would be correct. You said it was a little while back more. We were aware of that problem, and we 2.6 sorted that to where we are at now.
Yeah, it's working pretty good right now. I get the numbers most of the time very quickly, actually. So.
And if you're outside, Thomas, take auto brightness off.
Oh.
take auto brightness off, because auto brightness is for low light conditions. So it minimizes your shutter and maximizes your ISO, which is the slowest setting that you could have. Turn auto brightness off, and let it go up to higher. If you have the option to slide the shutter speed up to a minimum of 4,500. If you can, go to 8,000 and bring your ISO down to the bottom.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's good news. I'll try that.
That's again just more recent stuff that we've updated. Again, as with all of this, because so much of it is now done by the AI. As the AI gets smarter, and we know it's getting pretty smart in all industries, in all ways that it's being used, is that the more data we feed this, the more that it's getting, the better it's processing faster, and getting to its kind of conclusion much quicker, and it's better data. So, but we are training the AI around 8,000 shutter and the lowest ISO. So it needs to be the highest resolution that you can get to, a highest spec.
Okay, I'll switch over to that and see and try that for a while.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
I think Peter has a question. Peter from Australia, right?
Hi,
yes,
Peter.
that's correct.
What time are you over there at the moment?
10 to 7 in the morning.
Oh.
Okay.
So you've given us an early start, but that's okay. That's good.
Thanks for joining.
Good info
us.
to get up too early.
Thanks for getting up early and joining us. Thank you.
That's okay. My pleasure. I've got two questions. The first one is, I coach a lot of juniors, so setting up Striker accounts for juniors, say when they're parents and they don't have email, it means that each time I do a recording, I've got to ask them height and weight. Is there a way of not needing to input that height and weight every single time? And I even find with the Striker, I still have to do it every time. Is there a way around that?
Unfortunately not. It's a manual. It's a manual input by the coach. Will there be in the future? Who knows? Will the AI be able to work it out? I don't think it'll ever do weight, but it will certainly be pretty good at getting height with a body scan. With force plates are very expensive scales, by the way. Force plates give you weight in newtons. So effectively, force plates can be used for that, but no, the weight a component of that, absolutely not. You'd have to manually put it in. If you don't put weight in, Peter, it just will it will slightly put out your vertical force values. It won't change the timings necessarily, but it will change the force values, because you just got to think, if you're underweight or overweight the player, it's calculating more force to move those segments.
Okay, so one way around that, I guess, is if I'm working with a player regularly, just to make a note somewhere else of what their height and weight are, so that I can manually input them without having to ask all the time.
100%. Or just put a set of scales in your room. I know if you're teaching, it's not a good thing if you're mobile and you got to keep carrying them around. But if you've got a studio room, to have a set of scales in the corner and send them in the corner to give them their weight. So yeah, it is what it is. For our perspective, we need that for COM and tracking COM as best we can, but also be able to give you the most accurate vertical forces. And I can tell you from thousands of captured that I used in testing, and we've captured tens of thousands of swings now against force plates. We're 95% accurate with predicting vertical forces on the mobile phone versus a force plate system.
Great, thanks, Steve. The second question, I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, just having read the slide that's on the screen here. Is there a change or a difference in the cost of the person? So can a person be a striker? And is their price for using the product different to, say, what I would pay as a coach?
Yeah, so it's €8 for a striker.
Yeah.
And then €12 depending on your plan for the coach.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
I've had coaches that have said, "Oh, can we cover that?" It's totally up to the coach what they do, whether they discount their package by 8 or add 8 to it, whatever, however it works. But but individually the striker will need to have a plan. There's no way around that at the moment. In the future, is there? I don't know. It just becomes, when you've got several thousand people using it, there's quite a lot of work going on there for it to be, if a coach wants to try and take on 10 plans and they've got to be billed and they want it billed on the 1st of the month or the 5th of the month with that player, it just becomes very complex. And from our perspective, financially, just not viable. So therefore, each striker would have their own account. They pay that. They put their card details in for that, and the coach puts their own one in. Like I say, it's down to the coach if they want to discount the plan to cover that, their individual plan, and say, look, I'll knock €8 off or whatever it is in value, local value, off their plans. Fine, you can do that, or add it on and put it in, include it. Fine. The only thing with adding it on is that you need to do the process. You could put your card in and get it to debit your card. Of course, you could fill out the details for them and put your card in and let it reoccurringly debit, however it needs to. That's not a problem. Then it would just be debiting your card as per the plan. But that's just the way it works at the moment. Will that change in the future? I'm not sure. It's not really being discussed. It seems to be working quite well at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So maybe a little bit of a boring bit here, just a bit of information, how we could monetize it. What does it look like? This was something that I knocked up for Skillist. So you link in as I showed you, how you link your striker to your account so you can see them. Look, whether you offer a 3D plan, you offer 2 3D analysis, 4 or unlimited, totally up to you. But remember, your 3D knowledge is gold. You should not be giving 3D information to your students. You should be for free. You should be upcharging that. I mean, look, when TrackMan's come out, we upcharged. We put our lesson fees up. I put my lesson fee up when I moved on to force plates. You know, with a Studio 3D system, my prices went up. It's the best thing I ever done. So, you know, you really should monetize this in a way that you can make money. And you offer a 2D plan, a video analysis plan, and a 3D plan. So this is what just what I would do, and this is what I do with my clients. Here's just an example. So 20 strikers, 1 analysis per week, 3D, 4 per month, roughly 10 minutes per analysis, approximately 13 hours of work. 20 strikers, I upcharge that. That's an extra £99 on top of their 2D or video analysis plan. So you can see the numbers when we start to multiply it. It's basically anything over 20 grand a year that you're looking at here, over £150 an hour. So that's what we would recommend that you do. Look at how you can upcharge this and start to multiply it. It's basically anything over 20 grand a year that you're looking at here, over £150 an hour. So that's what we would recommend that you do. Look at how you can upcharge this and add this to your program. So if you're currently on just the video analysis program with your clients, think about how you could use this and increase your plan and offer the ultimate plan or the gold or the platinum plan, which is the next stage up for your current clients. You don't lose them. They can still keep doing the video, but something new that you can offer to squeeze a little bit more out is your 3D plan. Okay. So I had this slide in because this is some of the stuff that I did with Skillist. Now, we did some ongoing work with Skillist. It was actually like a 5-week program what we followed up after their mastering the mobile app presentation. So if you've not used the app before, okay, and you're new to this, download the app, capture as many swings as possible and bank them. Put them in the memory bank of your phone on the app. Note the intent. So what did the player want to do? What was their shot? They were trying to hit a draw or fade. Note the ball flight. So therefore, you've got that data sitting on your phone, and then carry on your lesson as you would do normally. Okay. I can do this even with a body scan and capture 6 swings, 3 with iron, 3 with driver, and then go about my business as I would do normally and not even go back to it. If I data bank every client, I don't use 3D in every single lesson. Okay, but I've got the data and I've got it there to reference if I want. If they've bought a 3D lesson with me, I will include it. But if it's just a regular lesson, I won't include it. I have it there. I've got it banked. But if you're new to this and don't have the experience, put as many swings on your bank as possible. And when you've got time, sit and analyze it, list the commonalities and begin to build your own matrix of cause and effect. Okay. So you cannot get enough. Quantity is key. Just get as many swings in, make note. What I do with the file number, I know that they're long file numbers in your history, is that I record the last 4 digits. So in my notebook, I've got 4 digits. I've got intention draw, outcome hook. Okay. Put that down on there. And that's just a simple little line that I've noted. So when I go back and look at that swing and I compare it to maybe next time when they're there or someone else, I've got that and I've noted the ball flight. Okay. If you got TrackMan, then list some key impact data, path, face, angle of attack, strike on face, list that next to it as well with the intent and ball flight. So again, you can go back to it and look back. That swing caused that. If you do that over a period of 2 or 3 months, those commonalities, you start to see that and you will have your own matrix of what causes certain impact factors and therefore has an outcome on the ball flight. So our advice to you would be do some case studies, develop yourself with this data that you're putting. If you want to discuss it with David and I, please just reach out to us. And it's certainly what I did with the Skillest coaches. They all had to produce a case study each week after the presentation. So pick an impact issue. Was it path? Was it face, attack, speed, strike, loft? Pick an impact issue. Get the data at the start of the session in your own mind, right? Okay, that's what I'm going to work on. I'll do it through video, blah, 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 blah. Do another capture at the end, then come back and look at it and see the difference, what you've done. Or if you're not happy with that with a student in front of you because you're nervous about the numbers, no problem. Do it on yourself. Shift your path. Look at the data after your path. Change your face to path. Look at what changed. Did something change? Maybe in your tilts, whatever. Angle of attack, look at COM. Speed, look at how COM's moving. Look at the hand speed plot that we showed you. So there's different, I'm just going through here. Do it on yourself. So test yourself, measure before, change it, measure after, create your own matrix. Within a period of weeks or months, you will get very confident in your own ability to move the data points, or needles, I call it. So then you can go into a live lesson and you'll be very comfortable with the data. When I first got force plates, I did at least 3 months of capturing without showing the client data. So I went about my lesson doing a normal video analysis. After I'd got the force plate data, I had made notes on the program, the intent and outcome and the impact factors. I was going every night looking back through that, and in my own mind, I created my matrix. I then had my own drills. I then tested all my drills on the force plates. You can test them on the app. You can't record a drill, but do a drill 6 or 7 times, then make a swing and see how that has changed the data. For example, a shoulder turn drill, right? See how much that gains your shoulder turn, or a tempo drill, whatever. See what changes. And then you can quantify all of your drills that you have. You've got them measured. So therefore, when you do your 3D lesson, in your toolbox of drills, you know which one affects the data and what one affects impact factors. So broaden your knowledge, go out there, capture as much as you can, analyze it, If you need any further help from David and I, please just reach out to us. We've got also the Facebook group as well. If you wanted to post some stuff on the Facebook group, please do. Any questions regarding that?
I have another question, Steve.
Hi, Thomas.
So on the file numbers that show up under history, this kind of relates to what you were talking about here, because I use a couple other video capture programs for video analysis, and I find that in trying to relate all of them together, time of day comes into account to identify which swing is which.
Yep.
Is there anything in that number that is significant to time of day? Or
No.
is that just a randomly generated number?
Unfortunately, the way that Apple saves it as a file and Android does it the same, it's very difficult. It's a bit more complex to it than that, and the way that we built the app. So no, again, I just literally will just write the time in my notebook. If I want to go back to that specifically, I'll put lesson name, then I know the time. Or I put the time on it if I need to. If I'm super busy and I'm in a group of people, I literally would just drop the time down. The last 4 digits, job done. That's a quick note in the book, and I'm back to the lesson again. So unfortunately not. Whether that changes in the future, who knows? We hope so. Maybe it does. Maybe there's a way that we go in and we can actually manually change the file name. Again, with a lot of this stuff is that we built the app around you individually having strikers on your list.
Right.
I know it comes a bit more complex when you've got lots of strikers coming in like juniors. We kind of based it around the broad side of things with coaching. And that would be, invite your adults to it, and then you've got the striker list, and then their history is only populated with their swings, not all of yours.
Got it. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
maybe some way to put a little note in on each one or something like that.
Be brilliant. We've talked about hashtags, all sorts. It has been talked about. It's definitely on the list. It's just at that point, there's a lot of things on the list, as you could probably imagine. And what I found very early on in this process, and I was, like with David, very fortunate to be early on. What seemed so simple in my mind, when I went back to one of the UI UX team or one of the programmers and said, how long would it take? And he goes, well, it's about 10,000 lines of code, and that will take one person about 10 days. You're like, okay, yes, not so easy. I don't know, but it just goes to show there's a lot on it. To you and I, it's quite simple, but to them, depending on how the app has been built, it can actually become quite complex. But all of this is taken into consideration, Thomas, and we know from the feedback of all of our amazing users so far with players and coaches, this is on the list. So we are aware of it. So we do hope that we come around to making some kind of note to it, or some sort of hashtag would be great. So then you've got a quick reference.
Understood. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. We move on. Glimpse of the future. So this is quite cool. This was something I've kept this in there because this is what we've done with COM, and we do have this in the back end. Like this, he says. We've got an upper COM, a lower COM, a COM without arms and club. So some of the cool stuff that we've got sitting in the back end. Just goes to show the extent of the tracking, what we can do. Then we move on to the studio. So this is a dual camera, dual force plate system. So this is our basic screen of what the computer looks like, the desktop application. So this would be a PC program. And we get the information of forces, ground reaction forces, and torques or rotational force about the center of mass, and then all of your kinematic data. And something that's been talked about a lot is segment displacements. We've got head sway, pelvis sway, shoulder line sway, shoulder sway, head, pelvis thrust, shoulder thrust, and then we've got lift as well. So we've got all the displacement information on the PC application and the studio system, as well as the kinematic sequence there as well. A pop out of the studio is the next screen here, and that's the forces screen. So if you've got force plates on the studio system, you will get vertical forces, frontal forces, which is anterior posterior, so that's pushing towards and away from the ball, and lateral forces would be you pushing to and away from target. Vertical torque is foot twist or free moment, and then the 3D torques of tilt, bend and turn ability, that's the next graph down on the right hand side, and then your moment arm, which is the angle or distance between line of force and center of mass, which is your lever or cranking device that helps you turn, bend or tilt. We've got the moment arm values there on the bottom right. So that's just an example of the forces screen that the PC application gives you. Bennett, unfortunately not with us. We was hoping to have Bennett today. He's actually leaving at 2 a.m. local time tomorrow to be with me. He's actually coming to the UK to do a demonstration. So we're doing studio demonstrations in the UK, which some of our viewers are coming tomorrow. Some are coming on Wednesday. So Bennett's there. He's up early doors, so he won't be with us tonight, unfortunately. So Facebook group, if you're not on it, please join it. Just request to join. David, John, myself, Bennett are all moderators of the Facebook group. There's discussion. We post some stuff time to time. I jump on there. I'm on there quite a bit. For example, when we're not sure, we've not been given an ETA of the 3.0 app, mobile app, but when that does come out, there needs to be some new features. So I tend to put all of the tutorials on the Facebook group. So if you're on there, you see that, and they're pinned to the features on the top of that. So we do highly recommend you join the Facebook group if you are on Facebook. That leaves us to say thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Steve, do you have something to show on the PC software or not?
Let me bear with me. So, because we were hoping to, sorry, Bear, are we back on the video now? Just back on the regular view? Yeah. Am I stop sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see whether I can get something up on here. I'm not going to go into too detail of this, guys, because this is very much beta and quite raw at the moment. Let's see whether I can bring this up. I'm hoping that I can. I was trying to do this earlier, David, and I did manage to get it up on the screen, but I can't seem to share it.
You did it earlier, didn't you?
If I do the entire screen, okay, that'll probably do it. And I bring that up.
Yeah.
This was captured on the mobile, opened up on the studio.
Okay.
So, skip figure.
So maybe you can show how you can graph whatever you like on the left-hand side.
Yep. So if I wanted to get the sway numbers in centimeters, I pull head into here, I pull shoulder into here, I pull pelvis into here, I turn off bend, and then I've got my sway values of head, shoulders and pelvis. I can turn them off. So I can just see pelvis sway, for example, in centimeters away and centimeter towards. These P positions are not right here exactly. So again, I'm not going to say this is absolutely 100% because it's in beta form and quite raw at the moment. But this is a glance. This is how the system is working. We've got the kinematics here, the kinematic sequence, the transition order, time lags. Forces will be here because it will be force plates. And this was captured on the mobile. You can see he is on force plates. Tomorrow I'm connecting the force plates to this. They only installed it today. Video pop out. So we've got the video there. So we've got that. And then you can show, you know, stick figure against, and you can move those windows onto different monitors. So I have my monitor behind my desk, and then I have 3 TVs up on the wall. So these screens can pop out and I can put them onto different screens. But, you know, what we've done in past, David, what I've done through other 3D motion capture apps and force plate capture systems, I've had to be like Mr. Tickle. I've had to be like an octopus, putting my arms around, clicking that one, running 4 applications at any given point to try and capture data, all of them at the perfect time. This is all done on one screen.
Yeah.
You go live with your phone and we are good to go.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So it really is a game changer, having all of that information captured on an iPhone or a USB-free camera, which we supply as part of the bundle. If you're buying dual cameras from us, dual force plates from us, software with 12 months support on hardware and software, it's about it comes out at 21,500 euros. Now, that could be a big gasp for some people. But if I put that into context, if you buy GASP force plates and cameras, it's 28k on its own, just force plates and cameras. If you buy Ball 3D or any other 3D motion capture system, let's say Gears as a comparison, is anything between 20 and 30k. So you're looking 50 to 60k to have the same information from 2 different systems that you've got to operate like an octopus, clicking them on and off and off. This is all done under one roof for half to a third of the price. Brilliant. That's excited me. That was the biggest pull for me when I was approached by the company. No doubt, like you, David, I saw the mobile phone up. I thought that was amazing. But It was like, we're going to create a force plate solution for around 21,000 euros. Like, no, you can't do that. Yeah, we're going to do 3D motion capture and force plates to that. And they've delivered it.
Yeah, and amazing that the price never changed, right? It was always 28 something.
Yeah, 21,000 was always talked about. And we're like, no, you can't do that. They have.
Yeah.
And for me, I just want to get away from operating several systems all the time and forever, not capturing. Or it has captured. Oh, TrackMan triggered the guard. No, it didn't. Oh my God, I didn't get that one. Oh, did you get that one? No, I didn't. Sorry. Can we do it again? I want to get away from all of this thing. I want it all under one roof. So a little glimpse. Hopefully they don't send the hitman round for us showing the group this, David.
Well, no one knows.
So that's the studio system, guys. So a little insight for what we're doing with the big system. And bear in mind, obviously, like that was a mobile phone capture that I opened in the studio. Okay. So, you know, that would be out on the golf course. You bring that back, or you've done something, you know, in a lesson and you want to go and test it out on the course or on the grass or wherever. You can go wherever. The studio system, force plates, you lift, you put them next to a mat, you cable them into your laptop. So they are portable. They're heavy. They're about 18, 19 kilos a pop. But you butt them up to your mat, run your cables through them. Your cameras will either be iPhones, which are wireless. You can use 2 iPhones. We're recommended iPhone 14 or better because of the depth sensor on the camera. You can use 2 iPhones for your dual camera, or you can buy 2 USB-free cameras from us. That price I quoted includes 2 USB cameras. So they'll be cabled into your computer and you'll capture 2 views. So you saw one there because it was done from a single mobile. You have 2 views down the line, face on, sitting in the middle there, and you can pull them out and create 2 new screens just for video only. Close down the other ones.
And you can play everything at the same time. You can play the stick figure, you can play the 3D avatar and both views at the same time if you have multiple screens. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And you have, do we still, I think we do have TrackMan integration and Quad as well.
Yeah, lots of monitors we're looking at integrating. They have done that themselves on their own system at Germany HQ. I know that they have the TrackMan data, but that will come. So with all of this, that was obviously a beta program, and we've got over 60 people on the team. So I think something that was told very early on, I understood TrackMan had 27 developers, and that's why they were just outracing all of the competition because they were developing their product so quickly, but also their software. We've got 60. So it's running at a rate of knots. How much the phone is getting better with the applications going from version 2. And then much more with the studio, with how that's developing and how you and I have seen that over the last 6 months, David.
Yeah. And like John Sinclair would say, hop in the train now.
Yeah, it's a train that's leaving. I call it surfing the wave. It's a big wave. You can jump on it. You can be part of that wave, or you can wait for the next wave. I will tell you from my own experience, I jumped on the force plate wave 3 years ago, and it's the best thing I ever done for my career, because it was new, it was different. We were doing vertical forces through mobile systems like BodyTrack for many years, over a decade. I had BodyTrack in 2013. But when force plates, and it just so happened, got a bit lucky, Bryson jumped around on them at about the same time, 2 months after I bought mine. But this is the same thing. You've now got markerless motion capture and force data all on one screen. So no longer calibrating, and you can talk about calibration. It's the bane of my life with probing everyone. And then it moves, and then you got to do it again. Haven't got to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, and it's so fast, you know. Yeah, I remember AMAN. You really have like 45 minutes, and in the beginning, you needed 2 people to calibrate it properly. This thing, you know, that's crazy. Well, it's very, very nice data, but it is such a big amount of time.
Yeah, you have to factor that into your time of your lessons. This is instant, straight on there. Body scan, we're ready to go.
All right. Any more questions?
Okay.
Thanks a lot, you guys. Great presentation.
Thank you, Thomas. Any questions remotely? Again, so as a team, you're currently in the team. As soon as we click stop or leave, that recording will drop onto the list. All of you are in the team. It will populate in that team list and also in the file section of the team list. So at some point, I drop out the link, the direct link, but you have it there. It's just accessible to the team. So open up your app and open up this particular team and drop down and feed, and you'll see it on the timeline, this recording. And you can download it to whatever platform you want to watch it on.
Yeah, we do have another question. Will Studio be available without force plates? That's a good
Yes. Yes. So that, for example, that one I showed you was without force plates. It was actually the mobile phone, but it looks exactly the same without force plates. So just your bottom right-hand graph won't be populated. So it'd just be an empty force graph, but you still had all of the kinematic data, kinematic sequence. You had all of your tilt, bend, and turn values and your displacements of your segments on there. And you can build your own graph, pull them in. So
yeah, and both cameras as well.
2 cameras.
So you can do video lessons and 3D lessons. At the same time, basically.
Yeah, so it's approximately 10K for the video analysis and 3D motion capture, which when you compare it to anything else, which is 3D in a studio environment, you're looking at 20K as a comparison. So if you were to take one of the cheapest systems on the market, but if you was to go down the Gears route, you're looking at 30 to 35K. And our AI is getting, David, you saw the mobile app that Bennett posted on social media this week, last week. Did you see those 2 arrows coming out of the feet?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So the next app will have force vectors force arrows coming out from each foot, and then they're combined. So you won't just, you've got your vectors on the screen.
Yeah, overlaid on the video and
overlaid on the video. So that's all done by AI. It's predicted. So the AI is getting very smart in predicting lateral and anterior posterior frontal forces. That's all I can say. It's going to be pretty cool on a mobile phone. I mean, don't get me wrong, the most accurate will be plates, but your next best thing will be Motion to Coach 3.0.
Yeah. And there is more to come that we can't say.
I mean, for me, I'm a force plate guy, so I will always have force plates. But as a mobile solution, the next best thing is 3.0. I have the theatre of full 3D, and it was the best thing I ever done was to go down the full 3D route, and have force data and motion capture data. I kind of specialize in that. I'm the go-to 3D guy in my area. And like you, David, with 3D, you become that, you become a specialist. So, as I say, from my career, it's the best investment I ever made.
Indeed. Can't wait to have my studio, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, regards to the mobile, if anyone is watching this remotely after, please reach out to David and I, or come through to us on Instagram. Or if you've got any questions regarding any more studio information, you can reach out to Bennett Wolf. He controls the Motion to Coach Instagram account. He will happily jump on a call and do a demonstration of the studio if you wanted to see more. His system, his data is more slick. Mine's brand new as of 2 days, mainly today. First time in the studio. I've had it a couple of days here in the room here at home. But yeah, he's got a lot more information you can pull up and answer a bit more detail about that. But please reach out to Bennett, or if you want anything more about mobile, please reach out to David and myself. Okay.
All right. I think we're good.
Brilliant. Well, that leads us to conclude then. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your busy days. Some of you waking up at a very early hour in Australia, down under, and joining us in the morning or in the evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you all.
Stop recording. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you some other
Okay,
time.
guys. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.